2024 has so far been an incredible reading year for me. Tons of five-star reads, great books, great authors, fabulous stories. Today, I want to talk about an author who's new to me. I read two of his books this year for the very first time. Of course, I'm talking about Kazuo Ishiguro. And the two books that I read, no surprise here, I was drawn to them because they are science fiction stories. Science fiction light, let's call it. There's some fictional, extrapolated science that's being used as the underpinning for these moral, ethical dilemmas that are presented in these very interesting books. So we have Klara and the Sun, which was the first one that I read, and then Never Let Me Go, which I read more recently. Both of them were really good. And like I said, I was drawn to them because of the science fiction element. Kazuo Ishiguro is known for his literary works. He is a Nobel Prize winner. So that is definitely impressive in itself. But if you look through his back catalog, there's only like 8 books. He's not terribly prolific, some may say. I watched an interview with Ishiguro where he talks about that, and he basically mentioned the fact that every book that he writes is a book that has a deep meaning to him. It's a story that he needs to tell. He is not writing these books necessarily to make a lot of money. He's not trying to publish as much as possible. He's not as prolific as Brandon Sanderson, who could put out 2-3 books a year, or Stephen King. But I believe each story has deep meaning to him, and it shows in the reading experience. So anyway, the 2 books that I read, Never Let Me Go and Klara and the Sun, were both really good. I liked them both. Perhaps I connected more with Klara and the Sun than with Never Let Me Go. But at the same time, I feel like this might be the better book overall. It's just the characters in this book were the ones that I connected, specifically Klara. In this video, I'm gonna talk about these 2 books, and there are gonna be some spoilers, some light spoilers, just about the theme and the premise of these books. So if you want to read, especially if you want to read Never Let Me Go, I think it's best to read it without knowing anything at all about the premise of this book. The slow discovery of what is going on here, what is actually happening, is part of the appeal to this book. I think every reader will, it'll dawn on him or her at a different time of what is actually happening here. And I think that's part of the experience. And losing that by knowing too much about it, or anything really about it, is not recommended in my opinion. Anyway, let's get into it. So if you don't want to have any spoilers, I'll see you on the next video. Come back to this one if you'd like at some point. But definitely read the books. They're good. They're really good. First off, Klara and the Sun. Let's talk about this one, since I like this one a little bit more. This is the book that Ishiguro wrote right after he got the Nobel. So there was some pressure on him, I would think, and I think he delivers with this story. In this story, we meet Klara. Klara is an artificial being, a humanoid robot, an android, who is called an AF, artificial friend. So she is a friend to kids, maybe teenagers, in this world. It is important to say that both of these books seem to be in the same world, a world of perhaps our near future. So perhaps this is extrapolating current science into what's possible in the future, or perhaps this is an alternate history and it's actually taking a place in our reality right now. I don't know, but I think both of these books are different places, but perhaps in the same world with some enhanced technologies, let's call it. Very interesting for that reason, and I'm hoping Kazuo Ishiguro writes more books in this world and kind of builds on it, as each one of these books is just a snippet of that totality. In any case, getting back to this one, Klara is our narrator in this book, which really makes it unique. We are discovering this world that feels intimately real to us, but also quite different. We are discovering it along with Klara as she's learning. She's eager to learn. She's eager to please. She is good. She is what made this book a pleasure to read for me. It has a bit of a fairy tale quality to it at times. It's magical. It's a great reading experience, easy to read also, very straightforward. We have Klara, we have the Sun. Klara has a special relationship with the Sun. And also, if you read this book, you gotta find out that in this world, gene editing, gene manipulation, gene mutation is the norm. And this clearly has some moral and ethical implications that we are struggling with, that the family with which Klara is struggling with as well. Very interesting read because of those themes. Never Let Me Go, on the other hand, has a completely different premise. In this story, we meet Kathy, Tommy, and Ruth, three kids who over the course of the story grow up to be adults. But when we meet them, they're at a boarding school for kids. It kind of seems like a high-end, kind of like a nice place to be. But slowly we start to sense that, no, something is off. Something is wrong here. The classes they're taking suggest that. The activities that they have suggest that also. The fact that there are no parents or any mention of the parents does that. And slowly as these kids grow up, they discover more about their world and they reveal that to us also. And here we have some huge moral and ethical dilemmas as the reader learns that these kids, in fact, are clones. They're clones. And think what you may of that in itself. Perhaps that's not so horrible or shocking for some. However, they're cloned for their organs. So they're going to be organ donors. They're going to die young. These organs are going to be harvested. Their lives, all the meaning that their lives have is as organ donors. This is heavy stuff. It's a heartbreaking, anguishing tale, but also it is told in, just like Klara and the Sun, with this restraint, with this subtlety, with this quiet, measured tone that Ishiguro brings to these books. And I'm thinking that his style is consistent through some of his other works as well. And I think it's fabulous the way it works. The heroes of these books do accept their fate to a certain extent, but they do it in such a way that resonates still. They don't lose their humanity for it because they're not necessarily fighting against the machine, against the man. I don't know. There is something about these books, the stoicism with which they accept their plight is really beautiful in a way. And I really appreciated that. I think Ishiguro is a great author. I think this book is really good. I think most people would consider this book better than Klara and the Sun, but it's just with Klara and the Sun, I was more drawn to Klara herself, just her being, and I was imagining her trying to figure out this world. Whereas with the initially kids and then adults, It Never Let Me Go, I did not connect with them as much. But still, this was very difficult to put down as I was trying to figure out the mystery of this world and the slow way in which we followed the trail that Ishiguro leaves for us in order to come to an understanding of what is really happening here. The implications, like I said, the moral, the ethical implication of this book is really fantastic. So two great books. Let me know if you've read them. Let me know if you've read any other Ishiguro. I just picked up The Remains of the Day.
A man cannot call himself well-contented until he has done all he can to be of service to his employer.
For 30...
This is a story of a butler living in a world that is changing, a world that is fading, and he is trying to come to grips with that. This is my next Ishiguro, most likely my next Ishiguro read. I'd like to read it at some point this year still, and with 3 books by Ishiguro, it's going to be an Ishiguro kind of year. Of course, I've been reading so many books by Stephen King because of the Dark Tower series that number-wise, it's definitely going to be Stephen King. But Kazuo Ishiguro has really, like I said, left an impact, an impression on me. And I wonder what you think about his works if you've read them. They are very interesting. They're very different. I love the fact that he has really an original voice. And I think that's amazing when you find someone who has that uniqueness, and that uniqueness resonates also with you. I don't know if everyone necessarily will enjoy or love these books as much as I did, and we'll see. So let me know if you've read them. Let me know if you're planning on reading them. And yeah, that's it for this quick video. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.